"She's just a paramedic. Let the doctors do their job," a physician shouted through the pouring rain. Anna Keller knelt down, her trembling hands maintaining an airway for a patient who'd stopped breathing. Everyone else backed away, certain the young soldier was dead. 1 minute later, a pulse returned. The chief surgeon stood frozen, rain streaming down his weathered face, whispering, "This isn't civilian training." Meet Anna Keller, 27 years old. Small stature, brown hair tied back neatly. Plain face, gentle eyes, but constantly underestimated. Paramedic at a field hospital on the outskirts of the combat zone. Every day, she performed small acts of kindness, secretly placing bread rolls in wounded soldiers' pockets, taking off her outer jacket to cover shivering patients on cold, rainy nights, cleaning mud off an elderly doctor's shoes without him ever knowing. People often mocked her. "You think those little things make any difference? Paramedics just mess around. Don't interfere with real medical work." One afternoon, rain poured down relentlessly. The field hospital erupted in chaos as a group of wounded soldiers arrived. A young soldier collapsed, chest soaked with blood. Heart stopped beating. The doctors glanced over and shook their heads. Too late. Don't waste resources. They retreated, abandoning the young body lying in the rain. Anna knelt beside him, rain pounding on her hair and shoulders. She began chest compressions, her small hands pushing down on his rib cage with steady, powerful rhythm. "It's hopeless," someone called out. "He's been down too long." Anna ignored them. Her hands never stopped moving. Press, release, press, release. 30 compressions, then mouth to mouth. Then 30 more compressions. The rain soaked through her uniform. Her arms ached from the repetitive motion. Other medical staff walked past, shaking their heads at what they saw as pointless effort. But Anna had made a promise to herself long ago. Never give up on someone who might still have a chance. She'd seen too many miracles to stop believing in them. The soldier's face was pale, lips turning blue. No visible signs of life. Anyone else would have called it and moved on to patients who could be saved. Anna kept working. She adjusted her hand position, changed the angle of her compressions, tried a different approach to clearing his airway. "Anna," a nurse called gently. "He's gone. You need to stop." But something in Anna's training, something deeper than textbook knowledge, told her to keep going. This soldier was young, strong, healthy before his injury. His body could still fight if given the chance. Rain mixed with tears on her face as she continued the life-saving rhythm. Her small frame bent over his larger one, completely focused on the task. Other patients needed attention. Resources were limited. Everyone else had moved on. Except Anna. A nurse standing nearby would later recall, "I couldn't hear the thunder, couldn't feel the freezing rain. I only heard the sound of her hands hitting his chest, strong, steady, like the whole world had gone silent to watch." Anna Keller wasn't just performing CPR. She was refusing to let death win. Through the rain, a figure appeared. Dr. Marcus Hale, chief surgeon, over 50 years old, known throughout the hospital for his strict standards and no-nonsense approach. He stood at the window, watching the small woman continue chest compressions despite obvious exhaustion. He started to intervene, to tell her to stop wasting time on a lost cause. But something made him pause. Marcus recognized that Anna's technique wasn't standard civilian training. She wasn't doing compressions in the typical rhythm. She was combining pressure angles on the sternum, creating deeper compression than normal protocols required. Her left hand maintained the airway in a very specific way. exactly like combat medics used to do in battlefield conditions. He muttered to himself, "That technique, I've only seen it in Fallujah, back in 2003. Who taught her that?" Anna didn't look up. She continued working in the rain, eyes closed tight, as if there was only one mission in the world, bringing life back to this soldier. The compressions she was performing weren't from any civilian manual. They were military-grade trauma response, designed for battlefield conditions where normal rules didn't apply. Marcus watched her fingers checking for pulse points that most paramedics wouldn't even know to check. Her positioning was perfect for maximum blood flow to the brain and heart. Where did she learn combat CPR? He wondered aloud. 1 minute later, the soldier's chest began rising and falling. A pulse returned. The medical staff who'd walked away came running back, stunned into silence. Whispers spread through the hospital. Who is she, really? The chief surgeon watched and didn't dare interrupt. But Anna simply continued her work, checking vital signs, ensuring the airway remained clear, preparing the patient for transport to intensive care. She worked with the efficiency of someone who'd done this many times before. Not the nervous energy of a paramedic getting lucky, but the calm competence of someone with extensive experience in life-or-death situations. Dr. Hale studied her movements, the way she positioned fourth lines, the way she monitored breathing patterns, the way she communicated with the transport team. This wasn't amateur hour. This was professional-grade emergency medicine. "Ma'am," he called out as she prepared to leave with the patient. Anna looked up, rain still dripping from her hair. "Where did you train?" he asked. "Here and there," she replied quietly, then continued moving the stretcher toward the helicopter. But Dr. Hale knew that wasn't the whole truth. He'd seen that level of skill before, in combat zones where the difference between life and death came down to seconds and expertise. That evening, he researched Anna's personnel file, standard paramedic certification, local training programs, nothing unusual in her official record. But something was missing. Gaps in her employment history, references that were vague, a background that seemed carefully scrubbed of details. A wounded soldier who regained consciousness after his coma would later write in his journal, "I opened my eyes and saw the face of a small woman, hair soaked from rain. I don't remember the thunder, don't remember the lights. I only remember one thing. I was alive because she refused to give up." Dr. Hale began to suspect that Anna Keller had more experience than her file indicated. The kind of experience that came from places where saving lives meant breaking rules, improvising solutions, and never accepting defeat. The question wasn't whether she'd saved the soldier's life. The question was, where had she learned to save lives that everyone else had given up on? The next morning, during the hospital staff meeting, several doctors spoke harshly. That paramedic overstepped her bounds, violated emergency protocols. This needs to be addressed. But Dr. Marcus Hale stood up, his voice commanding attention throughout the room. "No. She saved that soldier's life. If it wasn't for Anna, we would have lost another person yesterday." He placed an old file folder on the table, ink faded from age. "This is combat CPR, a technique used in Fallujah. I thought it had disappeared, but last night I watched it performed by a young paramedic." All eyes turned toward Anna, who stood quietly in the back of the room. An elderly physician slowly spoke. "We've been underestimating her. Paramedics aren't just assistants. They're the first ones to hold on to life." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Dr. Hale continued, "That technique she used isn't taught in civilian programs. It's advanced trauma response developed for battlefield conditions where normal protocols fail. "Where did she learn it?" someone asked. Anna remained silent, not defending herself, not claiming credit. But Dr. Hale had done his research. After the meeting, he approached Anna privately. "I made some calls last night," he said quietly. "Your official record is very clean. Too clean." Anna looked at him without responding. Combat medics sometimes transition to civilian medicine. Sometimes they prefer not to talk about their military service. Still no response from Anna. "The technique you used yesterday, I've only seen it performed by special operations medics, people who've worked in the most dangerous combat zones." Anna finally spoke. "Does it matter where I learned it?" A life was saved. "It matters because you're not just a paramedic, are you? You're someone who's seen combat medical situations that most of us can't imagine." Anna looked out the window at the rain that was still falling. "I'm whatever this place needs me to be." Dr. Hale pressed gently. "Anna, how many combat deployments?" A long pause. Then, quietly, 3 tours, Afghanistan and Iraq. Special operations support. Forward surgical teams. I worked with medics who had to save lives when helicopters couldn't get through, when normal rules didn't apply. The truth was emerging. Anna wasn't just a civilian paramedic who'd gotten lucky. She was a former military medic who'd chosen to continue serving in a different capacity. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Dr. Hale asked. "Because it doesn't matter what I used to do. What matters is what I can do right now, in this moment, for the person who needs help." But it did matter. It explained her calm under pressure, her advanced techniques, her refusal to give up when others declared a patient beyond help. "You've been hiding your experience." "I've been using my experience," Anna corrected. "There's a difference." Dr. Hale understood. Anna had transitioned from military to civilian medicine, not to escape her past, but to continue her mission in a new environment. "The soldier you saved yesterday, he's going to make a full recovery." Anna smiled for the first time. "That's all I need to know." That evening, Dr. Hale wrote in his personal journal, "I've witnessed hundreds of emergency situations, but only once in my life have I stood silent in the rain and realized that justice doesn't lie in titles, but in the hands of someone who refuses to quit." The hospital staff meeting the next day was different. Instead of criticism, there was recognition. Anna's techniques were studied, her methods discussed, her experience valued. But Anna didn't change. She continued her quiet work, continued her small acts of kindness, continued saving lives without seeking recognition. The only difference was that now, when she worked, people watched and learned instead of dismissing and mocking. She'd proven that heroism wasn't about rank or position. It was about competence, dedication, and the refusal to accept defeat when a life could still be saved. Dr. Hale began incorporating some of Anna's techniques into the hospital's training protocols, not because they were military, but because they worked. Sometimes the best medicine came from the most unexpected sources. No medals were awarded, no ceremonies held. But from that day forward, whenever rain fell, young soldiers in the hospital would look toward the entrance, hoping to see Anna walking past in her rain-soaked jacket. One evening, Chief Surgeon Hale found Anna sitting under the covered walkway, eating a simple sandwich beside her wet medical bag. He sat down without saying anything, just shared his hot coffee with her. Anna looked up, tired smile on her face. "I never needed anyone's recognition. I just need to be present. So one more person keeps breathing." The conversation was quiet, comfortable. Two medical professionals who understood that their job wasn't about glory or recognition. It was about being there when someone needed them most. "Anna," Dr. Hale said finally, "would you consider running some training sessions for our staff?" "Training in what?" "Advanced trauma response, the techniques you used. Not everyone needs to know the military applications, but everyone should know how to save lives when normal protocols aren't enough." Anna considered this. "I can teach what I know, but only if it helps people." "It will help people. You've already proven that." From that day forward, Anna became more than just a paramedic. She became a mentor, teaching other medical staff the advanced techniques she'd learned in combat zones. But she never sought the spotlight. She preferred to work behind the scenes, making sure others had the skills they needed to save lives. Young paramedics would seek her out for advice, not about glory or recognition, but about the fundamentals: how to stay calm under pressure, how to never give up on a patient, how to find solutions when standard approaches failed. "What's the most important thing you've learned?" one young medic asked. Anna thought for a moment. "That every person deserves someone who won't quit on them, even when it seems hopeless, especially when it seems hopeless." The hospital had learned an important lesson about assumptions and hidden expertise. The quiet person doing unglamorous work might be exactly the expert you need in a crisis. Anna continued her daily routine: small acts of kindness, patient care, life-saving interventions when needed. The only difference was that now people recognized her value instead of dismissing it. She'd found her new mission: not just saving individual lives, but teaching others how to save lives too. Sometimes the greatest impact comes not from being the hero, but from creating more heroes. Some people spend their entire lives being kind, but only when the rain falls does the world see who they really are. Anna Keller wasn't a department chief, didn't have any special rank. But in that rainstorm, she proved that justice doesn't lie in titles, but in the moment when a person refuses to give up. Her story reminds us that expertise can come from unexpected places. The quiet person doing background work might be exactly who you need when everything goes wrong. Around us are hidden heroes with skills we never suspected. Former soldiers working as teachers, ex-pilots driving delivery trucks, combat medics serving as civilian paramedics. They don't seek recognition. They just want to use their abilities to help others. The next time you see someone performing what looks like ordinary work, remember, Anna. Remember that extraordinary people often choose ordinary jobs because they understand that service matters more than status. True heroism works quietly, saves lives without fanfare, and measures success in heartbeats restored rather than medals earned. If you believe in stories that touch the heart like this one, leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to SN Quiet Stories. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten. Real people creating and telling stories, not mass-produced AI.